So 2023 was a pretty good year for gaming, wasn't it? The amount of high quality games that came out this year was absolutely staggering to say the least. This list here takes into consideration how much time I invested in these games and the overall enjoyment I had from playing them. With all that out of the way, hey, my name is Jude, and these are my top 5 games of 2023. Let's rock it. Number 5, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. The sequel to 2019's Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor expands on a lot of what made the first game so good, with a solid narrative that had me interested in where it was going, especially with that twist near the end. They also took the opportunity to develop Cal Kestis' character. No longer is he an insecure Padawan struggling to find his way in the galaxy. Now he's a seasoned Jedi Knight who begins to slowly tap into the darker side of the Force, due to the increasing threats of a much stronger Empire than previously. The game introduces a new mechanic with different lightsaber stances that help keep the combat more interesting. Out of the 5 stances to choose from, my personal favorites were the dual-wielding stance for its fast and quick hits, and the blaster stance, because Jedi do carry blasters, Obi-Wan. They really took more inspiration from games like Sekiro in that pairing your opponents is the correct approach to combat, and pairing enough attacks can break enemies' guards, leading to some counter damage. Unfortunately, I couldn't quite learn the timing as well as I would have liked to on the parries, which led to a lot of trial and error. Not to mention, I just didn't find the parry nearly as satisfying as games like Sekiro or Dark Souls. Something about the sound effect they chose for parries just wasn't as impactful as it should have been. Though I did enjoy the platforming a lot more in the last game, so it's great to see them expand on that aspect of Survivor, especially with the addition of the new grappling hook, which makes traversal even more enjoyable. I also really enjoy going out of my way to find various secrets and bonuses across the various planets, such as new costumes, lightsaber parts, and facial hair? Who the heck hides bad beards in a treasure chest? Sounds like the curse of bad beard the pirate plagues even the farthest of galaxies.
Shiver me timbers. The curse is true. We will have bad beards forever.
Oh, no.
But it's full of bad fake beards.
I can't say the same for the bosses though. Most of them I found pretty forgettable, and then there was that one fight that made me rage quit for over an hour. The only fight I really enjoyed were the ones involving Danganronpa, Danganronpa over here, as some of his later fights reminded me of young Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts 3. And the glitches. Oh my freaking goodness, the glitches. The worst one being a glitch that made me fall instantly through the world at my workbench and die. Thanks, EA. So, while the glitches did hurt my experience with it, I was still able to see the good qualities of Jedi Survivor that made it enjoyable up till the end. Number 4, Fire Emblem Engage. The first new game I played this year was Intelligent Systems' latest adaptation in their long-running franchise. This is the first FE game to run on a Unity engine, and it's probably the last one. This is by far the best-looking FE game since Three Houses. I may not like the overall character designs, but I can't deny that this game is a graphical improvement overall. The story is a very Fire Emblem story. Your player character, Alir, is the Immaculate One, who can summon characters from previous Fire Emblems to help their army against a growing evil. So yeah, if you've played any Fire Emblem, this story is nothing new. The game plays out like most games in the series. You're the chosen one, you fight the 4 generals, an evil dragon did it, blah 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 blah, whatever. Oh, and your mom dies. Oh no! Anyways, Engage, at its core, is still good old Fire Emblem. But now you have the option to equip what's called an Emblem Ring to any unit of your choosing, which lets them go all Super Saiyan and dominate the battlefield. And they even offer different boosts to your character stats that can be equipped after learning the emblem's abilities. However, the game will introduce tougher opponents as you progress along, so you're not completely invincible. So you can't just run around and expect things to be a walk in the park. Thankfully, there's a healthy variety of emblems to choose from. There's popular picks like Marth, Ike, and Corrin, but there's also lesser-known units like Sigurd, Micaiah, and Leaf. And the DLC gives you even more rings to choose from, like Tiki from the first game, Camilla from Fates, Crom and Robin from Awakening, along with Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude from Three Houses. But none of them compared to the GOAT herself, Lucina, because blue is the color of beauty. Now, the cast of Engage themselves are okay, I guess. A lot of them have more quote-unquote anime-type personalities, but there are a few of them that I enjoyed learning about throughout my adventure, such as Princess Tamara, who really loves to sing about meat, Pandreo, a respectful priest who barks like a dog. Seriously, what the heck was up with that? Citrine, an adorable aristocrat who appears all haughty at first, but is very generous with her fortunes. Mama got that bank. Then there's Jimmy Jammy Jade, a strong and beautiful knight who loves writing novels. And my personal favorite, Lapis, an adorable sword fighter from Brodia who really loves taters and bears. Even though I didn't finish Engage, I still invested in a lot of hours into this one and had a blast leveling up my units across the land of Ilios. Oh, and you can dust off the Emblem's rings and they react to it uncomfortably. That's not weird or creepy at all. Well, I guess that's what happens when you don't polish them rings for 1,000 years. Number 3, Resident Evil 4 Remake. After the disappointment of Remake 3 and RE Village being good but not all that memorable, it's great to see Capcom come back swinging with the remake to one of their biggest games of all time. With how many times Capcom has re-released RE4, it's surprising to see them dabble in a remake to one of their most highly reviewed RE games of all time. Now, the game's plot is mostly unchanged from the original, but it does expand on their characters a lot more, such as Luis, who ends up surviving much longer than the original, and he even joins you along several more segments in the game. Though the game takes itself a bit more seriously, it's not afraid to have some of that campy nature that made the OG so quotable. Nothing will ever top lines like "that big cheese" or "after all, I'm an American," unless it's pure, unadulterated power. In terms of gameplay, the biggest difference from the original is the inclusion of a new parry with the knife. And after enough parries, you can do a roundhouse kick on foes. On top of that, you can also sneak behind enemies to get a free easy kill on zombies. To put it simply, it's RE4, but with quality of life improvements. And the merchant gets a complete rework with a fun little minigame where you shoot barrels of pirates. Another great improvement is the removal of those awful QTEs. While they did look cool and had good camera direction, a lot of these required you to press multiple buttons at once. And if you failed a single QTE, you were dead, which made fights like Krauser really suck. The remake turns the worst boss into one of the best fights in the entire game. You fight Krauser in a one-on-one knife duel, and boy is it awesome. There's even more fun to be had in separate ways as Ada Wong, and now she gets a grappling hook. Capcom really brought their A game with Remake 4, and considering how the game ends, it's pretty clear that they're not done remaking older RE titles. Maybe they'll remake RE5 next, or, you know, they could remake Code Veronica. That's a great idea. Number 2, Spider-Man II. The long-awaited sequel to the first game on PS4, Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic game with tons of quality of life changes that make it a great experience. The game follows Peter and Miles as they protect New York City from new threats like the Hunter Craven and the symbiote himself, Venom. The story does a great job making you care for the arcs that both Peter and Miles go through. Peter deals with the struggles of helping his best friend Harry overcome a terrible disease, as well as his relationship with his girlfriend MJ. Miles, on the other hand, focuses on becoming a better Spider-Man, while helping former villains reform like the Prowler and Mr. Negative. And things only get more complicated when Peter starts using the symbiote suit, which slowly corrupts him, causing him to go through his villain arc. The combat is more refined this time around from the original, but when you get the symbiote suit, oh boy, this game gets really good. The symbiote unlocks a whole new skill tree to level up and customize your Spider-Man to their heart's content. There's even a wide variety of costumes to use, and most of them are of high quality, such as the Noir suit from Into the Spider-Verse, the Arachnite suit, which is one of my personal favorites, the movie suits, and the Smoke and Mirror suit, which turns you into the White Ranger from Mighty Morphin. The side quests have also been greatly improved upon. No longer are you doing lame tasks for Screwball or whatever the heck this was. Now you have varied trials for Mysterio, following Wraith as she hunts out members of a fire cult, as well as one of the saddest side missions in the entire game. I can never listen to Seabird the same way now. Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic game that builds upon what the first game established, and leaves me very excited to see where the third game goes from here. What a fantastic game, man. And now for some honorable mentions. Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, the latest FromSoft game that I just couldn't get time to play, unfortunately. Final Fantasy 16, a great game with combat that's right up my alley, but again, didn't get time. Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, that's a long title. Another fun Arxis fighting game that me and my pal Seiya will probably enjoy playing for months to come, but it just came out a bit too late in the year for me to sink time into. And finally, Dead Space Remake. I did put some time into this one, but not nearly enough. Work does that to a gamer. Number 1, Liza P. Well, since Sony still continues to aggressively ignore Bloodborne, I guess Steampunk Pinocchio will have to do instead. Liza P is one of the many Souls-likes to have come out, after being inspired by the hit Soulsborne games. And while a lot of these Souls-likes struggle to match the same level of quality that Dark Souls and Elden Ring achieve, Liza P is by far the best of all the Souls-likes. See, games like Nioh or Jedi Survivor think that elements like stamina management, linear levels with shortcuts, or the harsh difficulty are what makes Souls games what they're so famous for. Liza P has plenty of that, but it has something that those games don't have: atmosphere. The game follows the story of Pinocchio as he travels across the city of Krat to take down a revolution of puppets who have completely leveled the city. While the game at first glance resembles Bloodborne with its Victorian and Gothic world, its gameplay is more of that of Dark Souls and Elden Ring, in that parrying your opponents is the best way to block attacks, and the enemies you encounter will delay their attacks to high heaven, but dodging enemy attacks is still very effective. Lies of P's most unique gameplay aspects are the Legion arms and the weapon variety. You can forge multiple Legion arms like a grappling hook, a shield that goes boom, and a flamethrower, just to name a few, all of which can be upgraded and make encounters with puppets even more varied and unique. Much like Bloodborne, the weapon variety in Lies of P is spectacular. My personal favorites being the fire axe, the Nantra's curved sword, and the big old wrench, because it's a wrench that's also a hammer. Nice. Lies of P also features a mechanic called Fable Arts, and these can lead to even more insane damage. And if you combo them into your regular attacks, you can perform charge attacks to break foes even further. As someone who's played all of the Soulsborne games and absolutely loves them, Lies of P manages to capture the magic of the Souls games perfectly. With its various weapon types, atmosphere, and satisfying parry, Lies of P is by far my favorite Souls-like thus far. I would go so far as to say that this game is of the same high quality of Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. It's that good. Not to mention, the game has something that Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and even Elden Ring don't have. It has the most beautiful Firekeeper of any game ever, the beautiful Sophia. Because blue is the color of beauty. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you so much for 500 subscribers, and please look forward to what is Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. Take care.